from our last meeting, you should have picked or worked through this in your student journal, right? From parent functions and transformations. This was page 2 of your student journal. So what I want you to do right now is compare what you came up with for each of these graphs. You're supposed to classify them as linear, absolute value, parabola, square root, cubic, reciprocal, or exponential, and explain why you picked that. Go ahead and do that right now. Share with your neighbors. Okay, here we go. Letter A, what did we get?
Absolute value.
Absolute value, okay. So I'm going to abbreviate abs. Okay, how about B? Square root. Okay, how about C?
Constant linear.
Constant. Okay. It is linear. Okay. How about D?
Exponential.
Exponential. How about E? Cubic. How about F? Linear. All right. All right. And then we had another page, page 3 there. On page 3, how about G? Yeah, that's reciprocal. Now, we also call reciprocal a rational. Rational. Okay, it's a reciprocal function. And how about H?
Quadratic.
Quadratic. All right. Did I show you guys my pen? Recycled water bottle. I'm really impressed with it, and it writes really well. I really like it. Yes. Okay. I'm just saying. It's like the 3rd time? Okay. Well, on Monday, it'll be the 4th time. All right. How do you guys know that? I mean, it says justify your reasoning. Like, how do you know? It just like came to you in a vision? You're like, whoa. All right.
Process of elimination.
Okay, yeah. How many of you had experiences with these pictures before? You're like, okay, I know this picture is absolute value because I did it in algebra. Or some point. I know this one is linear because I did it in algebra. I know this one's cubic because I saw it at one point around algebra. I know this one's constant because I see it a lot in math and science. I know this one is quadratic because I saw it a lot and I got sick of seeing it. Okay? How did you know the other ones?
Process of elimination.
Process of elimination? Josh? Oh, I told you that one. I gave away that one. Okay, my bad. Yes? Haley. So it looks kind of like a fraction. There's a top and a bottom. Okay, good. All right. Emma. Nice, good. There you go. So looked it up online, tried some equations, and that's kind of what it looked like. All right, good. All right, those are all good ways. Let me kind of explain how our book goes, just so you understand. Okay, this title, this says parent functions and transformations. All right, in chapter 1 we kind of do a broad overview of linear, really quick, and of all the stuff we're going to do to all of our functions. Okay. Throughout the year, you're going to study linear, quadratic, absolute value, square root, polynomial, which is where cubic will fall, exponential, logarithmic, sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, cotangent. I know I'm missing something in there. You're going to study all those they're all called a family of functions. So what happens is as the year progresses and we switch chapters, each chapter x starts moving around. That's how these change. Like we know absolute value of x is y equals absolute value of x. X is in the absolute value sign. Square root, y equals square root x. X is in the square root symbol. Constant, y equals some kind of number. So there's no x. It's like disappeared. It's a ghost. Okay, here, exponential, y equals x to a power other than 2. Okay, like maybe the 5th power. Okay. Linear, y equals mx plus b. Cubic, y. Oh, hold on.
Wait, yeah,
my bad. Exponential. That was y equals Yeah, like 3 to the power of x. Thank you. You got to check me. You got to correct me soon, Chase. It's okay to just say, you're wrong, McCoy. You messed up right there. Okay, yeah, power's up there. So cubic, I caught that when I went to here because you're now at y equals x to the third. And really, when we're dealing with polynomials, I mean, a polynomial function, you may have x to the fifth, x to the sixth. We just have x cubed there. Okay? Reciprocal, y equals 1 over x. X moves to the denominator. Quadratic, we're at x squared. So it's polynomial. It's just one that we study a lot of. Okay? So, and then we haven't went through all the others yet. You don't have to memorize all these. It's just that x becomes kind of like that annoying friend that, well, yeah, or it hides around corners and scares you because you never know where it's going to show up. Okay? You're like, the next chapter, you're like, oh, there it is, up here in the power. Oh, there it is. It's in the mx plus b. Oh, there it is. Okay? It's all in different spots. All right. With that being said, turn your page, page 4. Trying to get to know our student journal real briefly. You have those explorations. We did that one. We now have in your student journal, there's always a note page, a place for you to take notes, whether it be definitions. Sometimes there's, hey, quiet please. Gentlemen, right here. Okay? Whether it be definitions, be a lot of them or a short amount of them. Okay, in this one there's quite a few, and we're not going to actually go through each of these individually, but if you want to, as you're preparing for tests or quizzes, you want to go through and review your vocab, this is a great way to do it. I'll show you where to find that in the book. But it also has these core concepts. Now, those of you who heard of Common Core, okay, that's where the core concepts come from. They're like Common Core standards. That's why they have the cute name core concepts. Okay, and it just talks about some of the stuff we've already discussed there. But if you want to take notes in here, it's fine to do that. That's really why I say tear it. I would tear out chapter 1 at some point because you grabbed a note page on the way in, and almost, not every day, but a lot of days you're going to grab a note page, which means we're going to do notes other than what's in your journal. And I don't want you stressing out. Like if you're a type A person, you're like, oh my gosh, hold on, I have like 1.1 notes here, and then I have 1.1 notes here, and then I have these assignments, and they're all in different spots, and that stresses me out. Okay, well, that's if you tear out the journal stuff, then you can like put them all in a nice orderly fashion in a binder. There's no stress involved. Now, if you're like, dude, who in the world does that? Then you don't, and you probably won't be stressed out. So you may not have to tear out that part. If it were me, I would stress out, dude. Okay, why? Because I'm more type A like that. Sorry, that's just how I am. All right, we're done with that page. Let's move on. All right. You all grabbed the blue sheet on the way in. It says miss the lesson checklist. This is not an assignment right now. This is for you to put in the front of your binder. When might you miss a lesson? Yes. Yeah, if you're sick. If you're absent for any reason. Sorry, Riley. Was that what you were going to say? Good. Or our orthodontist. Any of those things, okay? You miss a lesson. How could you go about getting the material that we covered that day, and how could you get the assignment? That's not a question. I'm going to actually talk about it. Yes?
Can you figure out what lesson you're on by either asking me or asking your friends, and then you go onto your website?
Oh, dude, you're answering the question too. Man, you're going to tell me too. Kai, you're going to tell me too, right? No? You had a question? That guy. No, the guy that had his hand up. Maggie, I'm going to explain that. You know, that's very good. Hey, you guys should always know what lesson we're on based upon our planner. Okay? That I send out. You could always ask a friend as well. But when you miss a lesson, this part up here is something I've added specific to Big Ideas textbook. So those of you who had me last year, this is specific to this textbook. Okay? As is this right here. Okay, that's the definitions and the student journal extra practice. Okay, which would have been the next page of your student journal after the definitions there. You can see an extra practice page. Okay, This right here is what I've done always in my class. You could always, like, we're recording this lesson right now. So if you were gone today, which you're not because you're here, but if you were gone, you could actually just go to this website and watch exactly what we're doing right now. It's not live. You'd have to wait till I post it, which I do at the end of the school day. Okay? But you could actually go there and just watch this. Do you have to do this up here? I'm never checking this. This is for your benefit. If it helps you, great, do that. If you're like, McCoy annoys me, I cannot follow along, I need to do this, that's fine, then do that. I hope that's not me. Hopefully you say something like, you annoy me. Can I? In a nice way. All right? And you could do these. If it just helps for you to follow along with what we're doing in class, on the video lesson, pausing and stuff, just do that. That's fine. Go through, go to the website, click on today's in-class video lesson, and you're good. Okay? But you must at least somehow get the lesson material, and you must get the assignment in some way. How can you get the assignment? Well, you could, if you turn this over, yours over, you could print the assignment at home. I attach all of your assignments. If they're worksheets, I attach them online. How do you do that? Well, you have to log into Skyward. You go to your grade book. You click on your grade for this class. This person had a good grade. You click on that grade. That will pull up all your assignments. You click on the desired assignment. Usually it'll be the last assignment. I just picked a random assignment. So click on that assignment with the little paper clip. There's a paper clip there. Okay. When you click on it, it opens this up. You click on the paper clip and it'll pop up a PDF of the assignment. And right under it, it tells you what we have to do. So sometimes I've had various students make it to various parts of this. They're like, hey, McCoy, I got the assignment. What do we have to do? It's like listed right under where you click. It tells you what you're doing. Or the reason I have you do this, because when you're gone, I like that you're responsible and you email and you're like, McCoy, I was gone today. What did we do? Okay? If every student that misses a day does that, that's too many emails for me to reply to. This is how you get that info. It's not that I don't appreciate you being proactive. It's just I'm not going to always be able to reply to those. Okay? I want you to be able to figure out how to do that. Here's how you do it. I will commit to having all of our assignments attached. Okay? If you're like, my printer doesn't work, I don't have internet, I can't do that, then you go to the extra copies bin. And Aaron, where's the extra copies bin? Yeah, how'd you know?
Because I'm right there.
Yeah, it says like extra copies right there. Okay. So it's on the counter in here, right? You go to the extra copies bin and you grab the assignment. It is usually the back assignment. You don't have to like take all the papers out and fling them all over and go, oh, it's right here, and then shove them all back in like you do your backpack. Just pick the back assignment and you say, are there any special instructions here, McCoy? And I go, yeah, you have to do this. Okay? Good? Any questions? Okay, explain to your neighbor exactly what I just said on what you do if you miss a lesson.
So you can either go online and get it on Skyward, or you click there and just...
So, I think it was my daughter. Okay. So, one of your assignments, you'll have 2 assignments today. One I'll give you towards the end of class. The other assignment is to go online to Skyward and print the assignment today that says, print me. Like the actual assignment title, when you like look down the assignments, it'll say 1.1, print me. Now, it usually won't be that clear. It'll actually have a title. But this one I'm trying to make clear. This is what I want you to print. Print me. And then make sure you read this, because I'm going to tell you to do some goofy stuff in the details. So read the details. It might be like, hey, draw butterflies and roses all over your paper. Okay? Or stick out your tongue at your paper. But I couldn't see that, so that wouldn't make sense. I don't know. Put a big star in the middle of your paper. Yes? No, it'll be one thing. I'm not writing a journal for you. I just want to know that you're referencing that. Okay? So that's one of your assignments. If you don't have internet at home, you'll have to pick it up on Monday morning from me in the classroom. Okay, very good. Moving on. Need you to log into Big Ideas. Big Ideas Math on your Chromebook. So go to your Chromebook there. Open up a tag. Type in clever.lk or clever.com/in/LK Stevens. So right there. Okay, or you can just go to the bookmark thing. But if you're at home, you have to type it. Right? Or you go to my website and hit select. It's on my webpage. Okay, and that should bring you to your login page, which I've got open right there. And once you're in there, if you click on the Big Ideas Math icon, that's going to bring you to your home page. Now, my home page looks a little different than yours. You look like you have more icons because you do. You're cooler than me, I guess, and the way that they structure them. But mine scroll across the page, so I feel pretty neato. I can scroll like that.
Wait, is it our email? Is that our username?
Your username is 6-digit ID, and then so when you're to this page, or when you get to the login, your username was your 6-digit ID, and then usually it was your birthday. So like if it was May 5th. Or May 3rd, it would be 5/3/2001. No exclamation. Okay. How many are at this page right now? Okay, very good. While you guys are doing that, I am going to go to my website. Oops, that was the wrong. Oh, that was the right page. Hey.
Why was your name St. Patrick McCoy?
Because it just is. I don't know why they do silly things like that. Okay, and we go to teacher pages. If you want to go to my website and just watch the video lesson, you can do that. And the website is down there. Okay, you'd select Advanced Algebra, you'd select Chapter 1, and you would, right here, above where it says Virtual Nerd, after today, it'll say In-Class Video Lesson. You'd select that link. You could watch what we're watching or doing right now. Okay, and then all the examples and monitor progresses I'm about to show you in the textbook are also listed right here. Okay, so once you're in here, I need you to select on Student Dynamic eBook app, or eBook. Okay, it's going to bring you to a library. I have a lot of books. You have one. Okay. Select your textbook. It's going to open a page. Now, I want us to be on 1.1. So, the beginning of 1.1 was on page 3. And page 3 actually showed the exploration. So, I'm going to go back to page 3 real quick. Okay, we did the exploration already. Same thing that was in your student journal. Okay, page 4 is where our examples start. Now, if you miss a day, remember on this sheet, this top part, switch to that here. Okay, this top part here, this is what I'm about to go through. You're going to read through example 1. You're going to study the solutions. You check, or you try the extra examples next to example 1, and then do the monitor progress. And then you do that for all of those examples. That's how you can use the online textbook. So if you're looking at your ebook again, here's our core concepts, here's our definitions in bold highlighted that you can define, and here's example 1. And notice in example 1, you have these different problems you can read through. It says identify the function family to which f belongs. Compare the graph of f to the graph of the parent function. If you click on tutorial, so you have to go down here and hit the arrow. If you click on tutorial, it's going to actually show you a quick video of something just like that. Okay. be like, it's not the exact same one. All right, so if you're like, I don't quite understand the example, I need someone to show it to me, that would be how you show it. And once you think, yeah, I got it, I know how to do that, okay, then you can go down and try this problem. Try that problem on your own, and then if you click the little blue triangle next to it, it actually shows that exact problem worked out. Okay? So that's kind of how this book is set up. That exact problem would be worked out under the monitor progress. So by the way, what type of graph is that? What parent function? That is quadratic. Okay, and you can watch it. And notice it's only about 24 seconds long. Okay? Once you finish example 1 in the monitor progress, then you can try example 2. And notice there's a little problem like it there. And then you don't always have monitor progresses after every example. So sometimes you have to do 2 or 3 examples before you can do the next monitor progress. So go to example 3, check it, and then try monitor progress for examples 2 and 3. You keep doing that. Some of you may go like, when do these end? Well, they end when you run out of examples. There's example 4, there's example 5, example 6, and oh, dude, we're out of examples. Score. You're like, yay, we're done. Okay? Then your lesson's done. That's how you use the textbook. All right? Other than all the other stuff we showed the other day. Okay? Any questions there? What I'm going to do today is I'm going to work through some of those examples together with you. All right? So, if you want, you can have your Chromebook open to the textbook app, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our note page that looks like that there. Okay? So why don't you go ahead and take that, take a look at it. I want to go through a few problems and just talk about a few things. First thing, whenever I'm doing notes in here, I always put at the top our title. I mean, like if I'm filling out this note page and putting McCoy, my title is 1.1. That's the section N. Up here is parent functions. That is not the assignment. Like when you print off the assignment offline and if it has a title on it, your assignment is not this whole thing. Well, I have to do pages 3 through 10. No, dude, that's just the title. That's where it's located in the book. Okay? Parent functions and trans. Not chi. Okay, not chi. Okay? Section 1.1, I guess I could have put there. All right? I would always put the page numbers, pages 3 through 10. Just so you know to reference. These are the things we want to learn in this assignment. And then we have the example. I'm not going to actually graph that, but what parent function is that?
Absolute value.
Absolute value. Okay? How about that one?
Quadratic.
Quadratic. All right? How about that one?
Linear.
Linear. All right? How about that one? Quadratic. Tell your neighbor how you know that's quadratic. Square. Okay, here's what I want to talk to you about. Let's talk about how things are shifted. All right? When I have, and actually let me go back and use the bottom of this page. Let's say my function is called f of x. Some good notes to take down. Okay, if I want to actually shift that function, we know what linear is. Linear would mean it's x to the first power. Let's say I'm using a squared function or a cubic function or anything. I mean, maybe it's absolute value. Your grouping symbol and absolute value are your absolute value symbols. Okay? If I want to move this around, I'm going to talk about a few different types of shifts. I am going to deal with a negative, an a value, and we're going to do all this to our f of x function. So I'm going to put my x in there. And then I'm going to talk about something out here. So when I subtract in here and when I add or subtract out here. Okay? So let's say I actually want to take my f of x function and I want to shift it Okay, I want to actually make it move 2 units to the right. That would become f of x minus 2. Now notice to the right is actually going that direction. Usually we would think of that as plus, right? But when you're dealing with a shift inside with x, it's always counterintuitive. That's called our h shift. It shifts to the right. So minus shifts to the right, plus shifts to the left. So maybe make a note of that. Minus goes that way when you're inside, and plus goes that way when you're inside those parentheses. Okay, so this is shifting 2 to the right. So I'm going to actually put that in down here as well. 2 to the right. All right, well, I'm now going to shift that. After I shift it 2 to the right, I want to shift it 4 units up. So now I'd have no longer f of x minus 2 only. I'd have to say plus 4 at the end. That plus 4 is going to shift it 4 units up. Notice when it's shifting on the y-axis, it's going up or down, it's outside of parentheses. If it's going left or right, it's inside parentheses. Well, maybe now I want to say, you know what? Let's make this a quadratic function. We're going to put the x squared there. Okay. Oops, that's not where this. There. Okay. So we're going to make this a quadratic function. All right. And now I'm saying that this is too fat of a quadratic function. It needs to go on a diet. I need to make it narrower. That's controlled by your a term. Your a term controls the width. Okay, it tells you how fast something is approaching infinity or negative infinity. Okay, I like to think of it as our accelerator. It makes it usually wide or narrow. It makes it or rise up faster or run up fast, or rise faster or slower. Okay, and a negative symbol always, anyone know? Negative symbol flips it. Okay, it flips your graph. Now the negative out here flips it over the x-axis. If the negative shows up inside here, which is a very confusing piece, it flips it over y. So we'll talk about that later. All right. That is a lot of stuff, man. Where this 2 is, we usually call that value h. Where this 4 is, we usually call that value k. So when you're all said and done, it's negative a times f of x minus h. And if we're dealing with, we'll just leave it like that for now. We won't worry about quadratic, plus k. And there's actually other stuff that happen in here that we'll talk about at a later time. Okay. Questions? All right. So with that being said, what I want you to do is I want you to tell your neighbor what happens, with those functions right there. How do they shift? Okay, what happens with this one? Good, it moves up 3. It's moving up on the y-axis 3. Why? Why doesn't it move on the x-axis? What would we have to see for it to move on x? Parentheses. No parentheses, so it's not moving on x. How about here? It's moving right 2. This is a horizontal shift because it's happening inside parentheses with x. Okay? This is vertical because it's happening outside of parentheses. Okay? What's happening here? Really? All it is flipping over the x-axis. Okay, so if I was to graph some that look like that. Let's use this grid paper here. Okay, let's say I was taking the absolute value of x. So number 4 was absolute value of negative x. Or, excuse me, the negative absolute value of x. So if I have the absolute value of x, that normal graph kind of looks like, well, it doesn't kind of, it looks like this. Okay, it has a slope of 1 because the number in front of it is 1. If I'm doing f of x equals the absolute value of x. The a term out in front here is a 1. That means I rise 1, run 1. Slope of 1 going in, slope of 1 coming out. Okay, there we got it. Guess it's negative 1 going in, positive 1 going out. So, yes? Well, this is the parent function. So you're right. This one right here, when I graph this one, it would flip over that. Right, so this top one, I've just graphed the parent function, f of x equals x, or equals the absolute value of x. The n of x is this one I'm doing in blue here. Okay, so if I was labeling these, this one would be n. We call this one up here f. Okay, so it's just reflected over. Let's say I wanted to graph. Any questions on that one? Let's say I wanted to graph, say, like number 3. Number 3, I would be dealing with the original parabola would be, let me use a different piece of paper here. Let's use this grid. Let's say I have f of x equals x squared. And my shift is this this h of x here. So f of x equals x squared, the vertex is at 0, 0. And what's my a term here? What's in front of the x squared? 1. That means when I go over 1, I go up 1. That's always true in a parabola. You'll always go over 1 and up, however, whatever your a is. To find out what you have to do when you go over 2, well, you have to plug the 2 in for x. When I put 2 in for x, I get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and 3 would give me 9, and so on. All right, so I have my parabola there. I graph it. Well, this is saying I'm taking that exact parabola. Notice a is still 1. I'm taking my graph of f, which I'm having a hard time labeling f there. Okay. I take my graph of f and I shift it right 2 units. So I take and slide each point over 2 units. To there, to there, to there, and to there. And this point goes to there, and to there. And kerch out. Everyone rate themselves 1 to 5. 5, you got it. 1, you're struggling. Okay, some of you are still taking down notes. I'll give you a minute to get caught up there. Remember to label this one H, so you know the difference between the two. Label it H because of H of X there. All right, so I'm going to do one more with you. Here it is. Let's see if you can do it, and I'm going to have you do it while I'm handing out today's assignment. Here's your ultimate challenge. I want you to graph y equals negative 2. Actually, let's make that negative 1/2. Negative 1/2, absolute value of x plus 2 minus 4. All minus 4. All right? Go for it. All right. Hey, let's see. So usually our vertex starts at 0, 0. Are we shifting left or right? Yeah, we're shifting to the left 2, right? 2. We're shifting to the left 2 because there's implied parentheses there. So 1, 2. Are we going up or down? Yeah, left 2 here. And down 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this out here, the negative tells us it goes downward, and this is like your slope. So we go over 1. Our slope is 1/2, right? We rise 1, we run 2. Okay, rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. So the further or the closer to 0 you get, the wider your graph gets. The further away from 0 you get, the narrower your graph gets. And that would end up being the graph. That's the graph of y. Any questions? So this flips. This controls kind of your accelerator, if you think of it that way. How fast or slow you're going to infinity. Or negative infinity in this case. All right, your assignment. Right here. Now, it looks like a lot of writing. It's not quite as bad as it looks. You're not doing really any graphing. You are matching the description to each of the graphs. Oh, one last thing. Sorry. I forgot this last period too. Guys, when a out here is less than 1, that is called a shrink. That is called a vertical shrink. Okay, when it's greater than 1, so if that was like 3 times x plus 2 minus 4, this would be called a vertical stretch. All right, that'll help you there. Any questions? Yes? You do not have to turn in the student journal stuff. It just means sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. That's okay. Any other questions? All right, Chromebooks put away, please. You got your assignment. Remember to go online and print me assignment. Print that print me assignment. It's only 3 short problems. Okay? Someone tell Scarlett what I'm talking about.
Or you can send a text for
Okay. What's that?
You send a